The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the speakers and not of DoD or any of its components.
Take me to the countryside. Gotta get out of these city lights. Drinking my cup, got me feeling right.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Time to do your maintenance. So, welcome to the second episode of your W1R. That's your weekly one, or as required. So it's Wednesday night in Japan. I'm looking forward to doing these, like I said, once a week, and they'll either be on Wednesdays or Fridays, but I'll get to that in a second. So I got some feedback on the last one, and the feedback that I got was, well, quite frankly, that I rambled and that I went off topic and I meandered down some topic and came back to it. And that feedback came from my friend John Hageman, who's a good friend of mine from Hawaii, and he knows what he's doing. Let's just say he may do this for a living. So I took some notes. I got some notes tonight, and I'm going to try to at least stay on topic and talk about a few things that have left an impression on me for this last week or so. And it's your W1R. So first thing, I just want to say congratulations to all of the limited duty and chief warrant officer selectees. Man, I saw a lot of good names on that list. Big shout out to YNC Brendan Little. He was a YNSR for me back in the day. And man, just to see him make chief a couple of years ago and then pick up LDO as an ensign, as an admin officer, man, it's like I was talking to somebody about the other day. The legacy that you leave is truly about the people that succeed, that you have a small part of molding and shaping. And Big Red, old Brendan, he's definitely one of those. Saw a bunch of other names on there. Ryan Heaney, good job. Congratulations to you and Annie. C, awesome job. And there's a bunch more. DeRocher, man, awesome job. Again, there's so many that I couldn't list, but I just want to say congratulations. Wise old man told me one time, Jose Diaz, he told me, we need good chiefs in the wardroom too. And I'm not trying to say that, that the wardroom is, not capable, because certainly they are. A lot of young talent, our young ensigns, JGs, and lieutenants are super talented. But those limited duty officers and those chief warrant officers bring that subject matter expertise to the wardroom. And, I mean, you need good chiefs in the wardroom too. It brings a good mix and a good flavor and an awesome outlook to, the decisions that are made in the wardroom at the discretion of the commanding officer, obviously. So, again, I just want to say congratulations to everybody out there that picked up. And, that's it for Navy stuff. Now we'll move on. Okay, so I was talking to a guy in my office the other day, and it was at a check-in. I think I talked about check-ins. I talked about check-outs at the last W1R. And so this was at a check-in. And, the thing that I told this guy was, you got to set goals, right? And those goals should be incremental. So for me, at least, maybe it's a function of me being in the Navy, and I rotate every 3 years, and so you kind of have these 3-year increments, right? But I kind of feel like that's a good model for life, right? Whether you're in the military or not. And for us, it's based on our assignments, and at the end of 3-4 years, 2 years, sometimes we rotate, and so we kind of block off these sections of life, right, based on our rotation. But honestly, I think that anybody, kind of that 3-year model works, right? If you set, of course you want to set like 10, 20 lifelong type goals, but if you block it off in these 3-year chunks, then sometimes you get a lot more accomplished. And so what I told this guy that was checking in with me, you start with these small goals that build into medium-sized goals, then build into large goals, right? And so, if you're at a place, you get to a new job, you get to a new position, and maybe you look down the road and you say, hey, I'm going to be here for 20 years, right? Or maybe you're starting your own business. I don't know, right? But I still think maybe you block it off, right? You make like a 3-4 year plan. And then at the end of that 4-year plan, you're feeding into that 10-year plan, but you want to kind of chunk it off, right? And so, so let's say that in a 3-year time, I want to get my bachelor's degree or I want to get my associate's degree. Well, okay, that sounds like a great goal, but then what are you going to do to get to it, right? Okay, well, next month I need to register, and then I'm going to take 2 classes per term, or I'm going to take 1 class per term. Do the math. How long is it going to take me to get there over a 3-year period? Is it feasible, right? And so then you make these small goals that build into medium goals. So next year I'm going to take 4 classes toward my associate's degree, and then you get to the end of 3 years and you look back and, oh man, like I accomplished this goal. So the other thing that I recommend when you're setting these goals is that you write that shit down, right? Write it down, type it up, make a banner, hang it over your desk or in your workspace or wherever you work, right? If you just keep it on your phone, you're not going to look at it. You're going to go to Facebook. You're going to go to Twitter or Instagram. You're not going to go to the notes and check out. Oh man, let me see how I'm doing on my goals. There's I know paperless society or whatever, but man, print it out, hang it up somewhere, put it up where you can see it. That way, it's a daily reminder. Like, man, what did I do to get toward that goal today, right? And if you didn't do anything, hey, some days you don't, right? Some days you get overcome by events and things that are going on and the day-to-day schedule. But, you should always have it kind of right there in your face so that you're making progress toward that goal. So the other thing is with these goals, you got to make sure they're realistic, right? So I'm going to make $1 million in 3 years. I'll get to that, but let's just say that is a unattainable goal, right? It's not realistic. I mean, is it possible? Sure, I guess, but it's not realistic, right? A realistic goal is I'm going to learn hiragana, right? I'm going to learn hiragana. Hiragana is, the written form of Japanese. It's not quite kanji, which is super hard. It's not katakana, which is kind of like a version of the language that is intended to, for like foreign type words, where it's cheeseburger, right? There's a katakana name for that. Hiragana is the Japanese language, written language, essentially, right? Original to Japan. But I digress again. Sorry, John. If my goal in 3 years is to learn hiragana, that is very feasible. That's basically like learning a foreign alphabet, right? I learn the alphabet, it's phonetic alphabet, and then I learn how to piece it together. I learn what the symbols are. I learn how to write them or type them if I'm doing a message. And I think that's a very feasible goal, right? Okay, but how am I going to get to that goal, right? Well, I'm going to take Japanese lessons. My wife's Japanese. When I text my wife, I'm going to do everything I can to just use hiragana, right? And so I'm going to set these parameters that encourage me to move toward that goal, right? And they're daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. So at the end of 3 years, for example, one of my goals here in Misawa was to learn Japanese. Am I going to write a book in Japanese anytime soon? Absolutely not. Demo, Nihongo wakarimasu, right? Like, I understand Japanese and I can speak it in a rudimentary way. I just get a little nervous sometimes, and I'm from Louisiana, so I get a little tongue-tied sometimes too. But the point is that, you set that goal. You say, all right, in 3 years, this is the amount of time that I have to get to this goal, right? And then so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Japanese lessons. I'm going to practice, right? And then at the end of that 3 years, I'm able to look back and say, man, I really got after it, and I was able to accomplish that thing that I wanted to, okay? Maybe it's, I'm going to save $10,000, or maybe it's, I'm going to maintain 185 pounds. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to work out 3 times a week. I'm going to eat right. So whatever goal you set, you have to think about how you're going to get to it. If you just set some goal in the future and you don't actually game plan in detail how you're going to get to that goal, then chances are you're not going to accomplish it, right? So anyways, that's the thing about goals. And so the other thing that I was talking to, this guy about, and I tell all my folks that check in with me, and this is something that I share, but I think that it works for everybody, right? So there's two things. Number one is whatever organization, command, ship, shore installation, whatever, right? Wherever you work, sorry about that. That was probably loud. Wherever you work, there's two things that I want for you. There's two things that I think that any leader should want for their people, right? The first one is that I want you to enjoy coming to work. I want you to enjoy coming to work. Yeah, you're going to wake up on Monday sometimes and think to yourself like, man, I don't feel like doing this. Maybe you had a long weekend, or, maybe you were just super busy, didn't really catch that break that a weekend normally entails. Whatever the reason is, sometimes you're going to wake up and be like, I don't want to do this today, right? But there's a difference. So if you wake up in the morning and you dread going to work, and you dread going to work because of the people you work with, or maybe there's a toxic environment, or maybe you feel unsafe, right? Or maybe you're ridiculed. There's all kinds of reasons why people don't want to go to their place of employment. Maybe they don't feel satisfied, or maybe they don't feel like they're fulfilling what it is that they think they should. Whatever the reason is, if a person wakes up or gets ready and thinks to themselves, man, I really don't enjoy this, or I don't want to do this. Well, in rare cases, maybe it's the person, and I acknowledge that, right? But more often than not, if that's the case, then it's probably the organization. There's something about the organization that is making that person feel like they're not desired, or they're not wanted, or they're not contributing. Okay, so we don't want to go down that path, right? And I don't want to talk about negative stuff. I want to talk about the positive. What I want is, as a leader, I want a person that wakes up in the morning and thinks to themselves, I've got an important job. I know what I need to do today. I know what I'm doing is contributing to the mission of the organization. I know that whatever my slice of this thing is, that it's important. And it doesn't matter, right? If you're the most junior person in the organization, you should feel like that you're contributing. And I know some people are watching this is like, yeah, no shit, Dean. Like, we've been talking about this, in our organization, and yeah, I got it. But are we putting it into practice, right? And I guess two things on this is, if you're that person, what are you doing to contribute to the organization to make sure that it's a good workplace, right? It's a good place to go to work. It's a good place to have a career, right? On an individual basis. But, I'm really talking to the leaders out there. And what are you doing to set those parameters, to set that environment where everybody feels comfortable? First of all, they feel safe, they feel valued, and they enjoy coming to work. I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't think it's too much to ask for our people to enjoy where they work. And there's this old saying that I hate, it's a bitchin' sailor is a happy sailor. Man, I hate that. I don't believe that for a second. I'm guilty of saying it, right? That is the most negative thing that I've ever heard, and it's not accurate, right? In my experience, a happy sailor is a happy sailor. A fulfilled sailor is a happy sailor, right? A fulfilled person, a fulfilled employee, right? And that's really what it's about is, do you wake up in the morning and you think to yourself, what I'm going to do is valuable, right? Everybody wants to have value. And quite frankly, whatever we are employed in, right, whether we make money in it or not, whatever our thing that we do, right, our passion, that fulfills us. So the first thing is I want the people in my organization, in my command, I want them to enjoy coming to work, right? And if we've got a 99% solution on that and most people feel happy coming to work, I think we're doing a good job, right? And that's that. There's lots of measures for that, whether it's surveys or feedback to the boss, all these things, right? But you can just tell if your people are happy with their workplace, then your organization does well. Okay, so that's the one thing. The second one is that I want, and this goes back to that goals thing that we just talked about, I want folks in my organization, right, in my command or wherever, I want them to, at the end of their time there, right, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, right, I want them to be able to look back in retrospect. I want them to look back at that 3 years that they did, 4 years, whatever it is, right? And I want them to feel accomplished. I want them to look back and say, man, that was awesome. I accomplished most of the goals that I set for myself. I improved my health. I improved my fitness. I improved my emotional state. I improved my capabilities. I learned more about my job. I made great friends. I feel fulfilled, right? That's what we all want. I want somebody that at the end of their time with us, and this goes back to that first W1R where we say that our job is to make sure that the people that we get, that whenever they transition to whatever their next thing is, that we're leaving them in better shape, that we're making them a better person, right? Well, if we're doing our jobs as leaders, we're setting the environment so people feel comfortable, happy coming to work, and they're doing their thing on an individual basis. They're setting goals. They're knocking things out. They're, moving forward. Then they get to the end of that time there, and they look back and they say, man, that was awesome. I had fun, and I did everything that I wanted to do. And they'll miss it, right? But when they move on to the next place, they bring a little bit of that enthusiasm and energy with them to the next thing that they're doing. They know what success looks like on an individual basis. Oh, by the way, they know what a successful organization looks like. And success doesn't necessarily mean you get all the wins. Success means that your people are fulfilled in their job and that you're exceeding the standard. And if everybody is doing that on an individual basis, then your organization is going to do it 100% of the time. So that was kind of the main thing that I wanted to talk about. And kind of the last thing on this is that I'll give you a personal example. So in my 20 whatever plus years doing this job, this is my third shore duty, right? Tale of two cities. So I'll tell you about my first shore duty. My first shore duty, I was coming off my first sea duty. I was a young first-class petty officer, and man, I was fired up and hungry, and I wanted to make chief. I take that back. I wanted to put on khakis any way that I could. I had a medical service corps package ready to drop. Thankfully, blessedly, I was selected for chief, but I digress again. The point is that I got there, and I was so driven and focused on succeeding and taking it to that next level and putting on khakis. I mean, I look back on it and I got after it on shore duty. I got my degree, and I was coaching Little League, and I was doing a lot of stuff that I knew would benefit me in my career. Okay. And I don't regret any of it. That's not what I'm saying, right? But I never really opened that pressure valve from sea duty, right? I went to shore, and I was just going, just charging, right? And then I go back to sea, and I'm on sea for 6 years straight, right? In the squadron, and then on a destroyer. And so, look, at the end of that 6 years, I was exhausted. It is what it is. I was exhausted. And so I went to Hawaii, and I did the exact opposite I mean, man, I soaked up every bit of aloha that there was available, right? Including the liquid variety, if you know what I'm saying. So did I enjoy myself? Absolutely, man. I spent a lot of time with the family. We surfed. We were beach bums. We hiked, but I didn't do anything for myself, professionally. I mean, I did. I made Master Chief, obviously, but I didn't work on my degree. And, so I think I probably opened the pressure valve a little too much. And so I look back on that. And for me, no kidding, that's like the tale of two cities. That's like, this is one way to do it. This is the exact opposite way to do it. Okay. And so this being my third shore duty, I went into it eyes wide open. Now it's different, obviously, as in the position that I'm in. I got to get after it, which I do in my job. But I wanted to make sure that I struck that right balance. Right. I want to make sure I was doing things for myself professionally, that I was doing things for myself personally, and that I was staying engaged. And again, I set goals for myself, right? Learn Japanese, maintain 185 pounds, right? And I've done those things, right? The last one was get my bachelor's degree. I have not done that, but I'm 2 classes away. Started a podcast. It's taking up a lot of my time. What can I say? But point is that I came into this one with a different mindset that I'm going to try consciously to strike that balance, right? And so I think that, going back to that 3-year plan, not everybody's in the military. I know a lot of you are that are listening to this, but not everybody is. But the lesson is the same thing, right? And that is that you have to strike that balance. Because then whatever you succeed, like whatever accomplishment you attain, whatever success you have, if you're not taking the time for yourself, for your family, for your emotional state, then those things are going to suffer, and this thing is not going to be as great, right? All the status, all the money, all the accolades, those things don't matter if you're not taking care of everything else, right? And so I think that you have to be really conscious of that, and you have to be eyes wide open, put it on paper, talk to your family or your close people in your circle, and make sure that that you've got this kind of comprehensive, holistic approach to success and life, right? We talk about it. You hear it so much. It's kind of cliche, this work-life balance thing. But it's a thing. I mean, it is absolutely true that you have to strike that balance. So, be aggressive, but have balance in attaining your goals. Okay. The last thing, and this is kind of totally separate from everything I just talked about, which was goals, but it struck a note with me. I was listening to another podcast, and, you hear this a lot in the senior enlisted community in the military, and I'm sure you hear it in leadership levels in business and other places too, but it's this idea of service before self. In the military, you hear that, you think shipmate, self, right? And in the Navy. And what that means is I got to protect the ship, I'm going to protect my shipmate, and then, I take myself into last consideration. So this idea of service before self, sometimes there's this connotation in the military that's like allegiance to my service, the Navy, the Army, the Marine Corps, right? But before allegiance to myself. But that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that this idea of giving yourself, right? So if I've got a person that's in need, or not even just in need, if it's just a young person that's new in the organization that needs help, they're trying to figure it out. And I know, this seems, no shit, Dean. Like, that's obvious. Of course you help. Yeah, I know, but do we do it, right? I think most of us do. But, it's worth thinking about, right? Like, what are you doing to improve the life of others? I mean, at the end of the day, you can attain all the success in your personal space that you want, but I don't think you're truly like fulfilled and satisfied unless you can look out across, all the people that you've influenced and had a chance to impact, and they're also having success. Right? I'll go back to all these folks that we saw on the LDO CWO list. All the people that I named, I either worked with or they worked for me at some point. That is not, hey, look at me. Good job, Dean. That's not what I'm saying, right? Not at all. What I'm saying is that, seeing their success gives me joy, like real actual joy, right? And this is going to sound like I'm comparing the two, but I'm not, right? Like if you've got kids and you see them like accomplish something, they make honor roll, right? Or they graduate from high school, or, they do something great in their life. They win a talent show, they win a championship at their little league softball game. Who knows, right? You feel something. You're like, hell yeah. Like, like I'm proud of that kid, It's not the same because obviously these folks that are in your organization that work for you over time are not your children. That's not what I'm saying at all, right? But it's that same idea, right? Just like you want the best for somebody that's in your family, you want them to do well, because they're your blood and your kids or your brother, your sister, whatever, right? That same emotion, like why not apply it to the people that work with and for you? When they win, you win. It's not monetary. It's not, when they win, then I move up in the chain. That's not what I'm saying, right? Like when a person that you have influence over or with or can influence the direction of their career or their life, when they do well, like that's the best thing ever. That's it. It doesn't get any better than that, And so this idea of service before self, I guess what I'm talking about is that you want to serve those that you work for. In the Navy, we like to call our chief petty officers, we say humble servant leaders. And I'm sure that extends to the business world too, right? But think about that for a second. If you're humble, it doesn't mean that you don't have pride, right? You want to have good pride, okay? You want to be proud of your accomplishments and the accomplishments of your organization and your people. That is good stuff, right? You want to have pride in your organization, but you also want to be humble. And that is definitely possible to do both. Going back to that first one we did, right? Don't be arrogant. Don't be arrogant. Be prideful, right? In a good way, okay? But make sure that your focus as a leader has to be on those people that work for you, right? Or with you, okay? And if you do that, then I think that number one, you're going to experience success, and they are. And then you may not work together forever, right? But you'll get to see from afar their success. And I'm telling you, it's the best feeling ever. It's the best feeling ever, right? To see those people do well. Okay. So this idea of service before self. So talked about goals, small goals, medium goals, large goals. We talked about, enjoying work. At the end of it, you want to feel accomplished, right? At the end of this period in which you set goals that you want to look back and say, man, I did what I set out to do. I feel good about it. Now moving on to the next thing, I'm going to take that experience with me. We talked about, having balance in your life, be assertive, be aggressive about the goals that you want to accomplish. And then we talked about service, not self. Okay. So that's the maintenance for the week, right? All right. We got that maintenance done. I did some maintenance on myself. When I talk about it, it reinforces it in my head. And I hope that when you hear it, it does the same thing for you, right? So we got that W1R done. Now I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant. So, Mom, if you're listening to this might be the part where you want to tune out because there might be some expletives. Okay, here's the deal, right? I've been doing a customer service type job for about 20 plus years. So my job in the military, I was an admin weenie, right? I was a PN, then a PS. So my job was customer service. Like somebody walks in the office, hey, what's going on? What can I do for you? I'm transferring, or I just got here, or I got a house and I need to process my entitlements. or whatever, right? And so this idea of customer service is very important to me. And I took it super seriously because of my first chief, right? That if somebody walked in that office, man, I took a lot of personal pride in the fact that I was a subject matter expert. And if I wasn't, then I'm going to go get somebody. Or I'm going to say the 3 magic fucking words, right? I don't know. Okay? So I had an experience today. Let's just say that. I'm not going to say where. I'm not going to say who. I had a customer service experience today where, poor guy at the counter, he was trying, right? He went to get his supervisor. His supervisor was fucking lazy, right? And didn't want to help me out because he wanted to take the easy way. And I think he didn't know who he was talking to because he assumed that I didn't know the rules, right? And so let me calm down real quick. It really made me mad, right? And I'll tell you why. Because if you are in a place where you're providing customer service to somebody, right? Look, that person is at that place, right? Whether it's, they're working on their movement of stuff or, banking or promotion or family or whatever it is, right? Like if they are at that place where they're like, hey, I need some help, right? That's customer service, right? I need some help. And I guess I'm telling you this, number one, for just to kind of share my experience as part of this W1R. But number two, if you're listening to this and you work in some type of customer service environment or organization or role, you better be fucking competent, right? You got to know what you're doing, okay? If somebody comes to you, they need help, and you're selling them a line of bullshit or shooting from the hip, they're going to know immediately, right? And then they just lost trust in that organization. They lost trust in you and everything. You're the face of that organization at that point, and they have lost trust in everybody standing behind you because you're standing up there being incompetent, right? And not using those 3 magic words, I don't know, right? And so if you are a supervisor in an organization that provides customer service, and you hear this, right, you need to go make sure that whoever you got at that front counter, they know what the fuck they're doing, right? And if they don't, make sure they know that it's okay to come get a supervisor. And oh, by the way, if you're the supervisor and you're confronted with a question that is out of the ordinary that you're not sure on, hey, guess what? Regardless of your status in the organization, it's okay to say those 3 words, right? I don't know, okay? A customer would much rather hear that followed by, I don't know, but I'm going to find out, right? I'd rather hear that than somebody tell me something I know is inaccurate, right? That is the most annoying thing ever, okay? So that's my rant for the night, and now I'm done, okay? If you're working in a customer service organization, know what the hell you're doing. If you're a supervisor, make sure your people know what the hell they're doing and that they know that they have an out, they have an option to come get you. And then if you don't know the answer to the question, man, just be honest about it, okay? Otherwise, you're going to lose the faith of that customer, all right? Okay, rant complete. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to get into, and then we're done, I'm going to get into some upcoming events, upcoming episodes. So we're right on the brink of this thing really getting going, right? So this is going to be the last W1R before, no kidding, episode 1 of the main podcast hits the streets. That's going to get released on the 28th of February. You may have seen that because it's been posted a lot. But so on the 28th, episode 1, Joey Meininger, good friend of mine. It's already recorded. I'm just waiting to release it, right? And I'm telling you, you're going to love this one. It was a lot of fun. He's got a great story. A little bit of spoiler. Grew up in Germany, and Florida guy, lived in Alaska, done all kinds of cool stuff with AFSOC. So I think you're really going to enjoy that. Episode 2 the following week. So Monday is going to be the release date for the normal main episodes. The following week is going to be Frank Rice. So he's the one that helped me set up a lot of this stuff behind me, right? So that it looks decent in here and not all messed up. So he'll be episode 2. Again, you do not want to miss that. That is a great story and very unique, I think, and very inspiring, considering all the things that he's achieved in his almost 20 years in this organization. So you definitely don't want to miss that one. And then so we're going to go Wednesdays and Fridays. Okay, so on the next Texan Connection, which will be in the second week of March. So Matt and I, hey, that one was very popular. And like I said, we're going to do that one 2 times a month. And so our next one will be the second week of March, and we're going to talk about all things cryptocurrency, okay? This is a whole new world for me. Just got involved with some things, and Matt's kind of my, my Jedi instructor in getting into this crypto stuff. I am still confused on it, but I think that a lot of people are, right? And so I think that it's worth it to do a podcast to kind of talk about it and at least gain some basic understanding of what it is, how it works, because I think that there's an investment opportunity there that a lot of us, myself included, are real hesitant to move into because it's confusing, right? It's just, I don't know, man. It's like fuzzy math, right? But anyway, so we'll do a Texan Connection on crypto the next time, and then, like I said, on the weeks that we do the Texan Connection, the W1Rs will be on Friday. On the weeks that we don't do the Texan Connection, the W1Rs will be on Wednesday, okay? So that's kind of the battle rhythm that we're going to have, right? So Monday will be main episode release. Wednesday will be either W1R or the Texan Connection. And then Friday, on those Fridays where we don't have a Texan Connection, that'll be the W1R. And then typically the last Monday of every month will be Millie Monday, right? So I'm looking forward to that. That kid is wild, so I'm going to set some parameters like, all right, here's the things we can talk about, and here's the things that we probably shouldn't talk about. But I'm super excited to do those, and I think she is too. We've talked about it a lot. So anyway, so that's pretty much what we have coming up. A couple closeout things. So first of all, John, hey, give me some feedback. How'd I do? I feel like I stayed on track. Had some notes here this time, so that was good. I hope everybody enjoyed kind of what we talked about. Sorry if I got a little passionate about the customer service thing, but I think that it matters, right? And I think that most business is customer service, and if you don't do customer service well, then your business or your organization is going to fail, right? They're not going to do well, right? Because you have to present that good face to the customer. Okay, all right. Last closeout, a couple of housekeeping items. So number 1, hey, if you like that intro music, okay, Treese Kid, I want you to go to Apple Music. I want you to check it out, right? He's got 4 singles on there that are bangers, right? No Ceiling is one of my favorites, okay? Addicted to You is awesome. And, of course, Countryside, the one that brings in the podcast. If you're listening to it on your phone, I want you to throw your headphones on and listen to it so you hear that bass line because, man, it's something else, right? The other thing is that I want to talk about this company, Citylocks, right? Citylocks, Citylocks.com. Not being sponsored by these guys again, but, if you like these hats, they got some awesome products. Matt went and checked it out the other day, and, next time we do the Texan Connection, right? So, of course, I got a hat for it, right? And it's a black hat with a black Texas license plate with TXN, CXN on it, right? So that's pretty legit. So, check them out, man. Citylocks.com. You can find them on Instagram, Citylocks brand. I'll be totally honest. I hit them up and asked if they'd like to have a partnership. I'm not trying to make any money off of it, but, man, if I can get some free hats, right, then I'll take it, right? So anyways, so check out citylocks.com and get you a hat, get you some cool sunglasses. get you some customized t-shirts, and you can buy in bulk too for your organization if you need to get some for your company or whatever, right? So and there's a reduced price the more you buy. So again, not sponsored by them, I just love their shit, right? So I told you this podcast is about elevating people, right? So if there's a brand that I like, I don't care if I get anything from it, man. I want to elevate them, right? I want to help them do better, and Citylocks is one of those, right? So that's it for tonight. That's it for the W1R. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And make sure that you like, subscribe, hit some comments in that YouTube section, and stand by, man, because 28 Feb. That Monday, we're going to go ahead and drop that episode 1, and then it's on after that, right? 2 to 3 episodes per week. So I hope you're enjoying the content. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing and hearing. And I hope it's helpful to you. And at the end of the day, I hope you're having a good fucking time, right? So, all right, that's it. Y'all have a good night. I'm out.